Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's show and welcome to my farm. Hey, I'm going to go over this week all the different vehicles that you need to have when you're an ice fishing guide. And I'll tell you what, they keep building all the time. When you get these different conditions like we had the last couple of years, we had really mild winters. Adapt. But I'm going to show you guys what it takes, and I'll tell you something. I have got a lot of different ways to get people in and out on the ice safely. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Come on with me. So we're going to start off. Of course, everything's dirty. Everything's jammed in here. We've got UTV. We've got four-wheelers all over the place. This one's got studs on it, as you guys can see, instead of chains. We kind of got away from running a lot of the chains and went more to studs, even on the UTVs. They hook up a lot better. And then if something happens, a lot of times with chains, the chains will loosen up or they'll snap, and a lot more maintenance. Definitely them screws, they hook up like no tomorrow. So snowmobile, got that here, you know, it's another important part of what we do. Here's the scratcher boat. Obviously, just still working on that, hooking up some new stuff on here. I'm gonna be putting two auger mounts up front here, a locator in the back. I'm actually gonna go with putting a winch on the back. You know, if I showed you guys before, sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the butt for me to get the scratcher boat off the trailer. So I'm gonna put a winch on the back, and when I back down on the ramp right there, I'll just drill a hole and be able to winch it right off the back by myself. Let's go show you guys some more of our equipment that we have. This is my track truck. I've got American tracks on it. It'll pretty much go through anything. It's just a great asset to our business, even though, again, like I was saying before, we haven't used it in 4 years because we haven't had enough snow to be able to justify taking it out. And each one of these vehicles has that. Like, we'll go out and take a look at the airboat next. If I don't have to run that airboat, I'm not going to run it, because when you start running airboats and you start running things with tracks, there's a lot more maintenance that's involved in it. So if I don't have to run something like this, these high maintenance vehicles, I definitely will not. Hey, let's go look at some more stuff. We've got 3 Suburbans that we run out on the lake out here, and this is another tuber truck right here, which is pretty nice, you know. So basically, these are the tubes that you slide down in through the holes in the truck. This one's got double holes in it, as you can see. One here, one there. I'm going to show you our last vehicle. Here she is right here. Got her all covered up, ready to roll. I usually keep it plugged in too, so the batteries, again, there's 3 batteries in there to start this thing up. And it's one of them cool things that it's a great asset, but it's one of them vehicles I only use it when I absolutely have to. Number 1 on my list to start the season off is definitely a snowmobile. A snowmobile, you ask why? It's one of them kind of things where basically if you're really good at controlling a snowmobile and it's the right snowmobile, it basically takes 0 ice to be able to hold it up. You see a lot of people, you can watch all the videos where people go miles on a snowmobile across open water. And that really is kind of what got me into running snowmobiles for checking ice. I used to walk a lot, put a lot of miles on. Now it's strictly all snowmobiling. I'll go out on a 1/2 inch ice on a snowmobile in a heartbeat. At the right speed, it won't even break through most of the time if it's good ice. But what I do with it is I basically, when I look at ice and I'm going along, I'm always looking down and I slow the machine down. If it starts to spider and crack, I know that there's typically, at a lower speed, there's typically going to be like 1 inch or less of ice there. Also, you know, like a 4-wheeler or a truck, you're constantly stuck all the time. A snowmobile, especially a good snowmobile with a long track, wide track, good paddles on it, really can be one of them things that can make ice fishing a lot more enjoyable. I think it's probably one of the most versatile ice fishing
vehicles that there is definitely a snowmobile. You think about like me that's been guiding full-time basically for over 30 years, and the amount of different vehicles I have for different conditions and different reasons is amazing. And number one, I start this season off is definitely on my snowmobile. Number two is something that I recently just got into, is a picker boat. I saw a picker boat when I was about 10, 11 years old on Partridge Lake, and I never knew what it was. I just thought it was one of them freak things some guy just put together in his garage, and maybe he did. But now fishing over on the Mississippi River and seeing that these guys are using these picker boats really amazed me. And one of the biggest things about a picker boat is it goes across a lot of very thin ice where you're not damaging the ice for other people to get out there. I basically would take a picker boat on ice that is 2 inches up to whatever, but that's kind of where I start with that. And it's one of them things too is that I look at the footprint of the boat. I'm running a 16-foot flat bottom boat, and I have runners underneath it, and I'm running my picker motor itself is a 12 horse, and top end on it, if you want to go that fast, is almost 30 miles an hour. But it's one of them kind of things where my boat is geared for 2 people and myself, and basically the footprint is like a person that's like my size, about 200 pounds. If you can walk on that ice, I can run my picker boat across it without breaking through with 3 guys in it. So it's really a cool asset to the guiding part. Again, mainly because I can get out there early ice and I can get out there late ice, and I'm not damaging the ice for other ice fishermen. That's a big thing versus an airboat, where the airboat's a lot heavier and you're constantly breaking the ice up when it's thin like that. The downside about a picker boat is obviously you got to trailer it like you would any other boat. Getting it off the trailer can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but I've kind of adapted to that. I got a trailer that I've got slides on it. There's no reverse on it, so I can't like a snowmobile or a four-wheeler or a UTV where I can just put it in reverse and take it off the trailer. There's a little bit more effort that's put into it with the picker boat. But again, there's times where it's the only real safe transportation to get people on the ice and off the ice without it being a problem. The other downside of a picker boat, I would say, is that your steering is not the best for sure on it. They don't steer the best, just the way it's a flat bottom boat with some runners on it. So your steering, you really got to kind of calculate where you're going. It doesn't turn on a dime. The other part is that if it does break through, you can't just goose the motor and get out of it. You actually have to oar the boat until you keep breaking the ice till you get to some ice where you can stand on, and then what you do is you stand on the ice. I've got a winch on the front of it, and drill a hole, and I winch the boat out. It's not the worst thing in the world, but again, it's just time consuming versus a snowmobile. By myself, ice this thing thin, I start breaking through, I just throttle it and go. So, but again, the picker boat is an awesome tool to the things that we do. Number 3 definitely is your ATV. I have ATVs with chains on them, and I have ATVs with ice screws. Good ice, I will run an ATV on a good solid 3.5 inches to whatever, right? It's a good way to get out. It's very reliable and just easy to use. That's the great part about having an ATV. I myself prefer to use smaller ATVs. Like most of the machines I have are 400s. It's just a little bit lighter machine. So for that thinner ice, I'm a Honda guy. They're workhorses. They're kind of a bulletproof machine. That Honda Foreman is just one of them kind of things where they have been through a lot and very little maintenance on it. Number 4 on the list is the airboat. Now, I'll tell you, the airboat is one of them things where you definitely need to have a consistent 6 inches of good ice to drive it on. These are the airboats that we're using are heavy airboats. Mine is a 20-footer and it's 10 feet wide, and it weighs a ton on it. It's got a 700 horse engine on it, and it's not really for speed. It's basically for all that torque when you put a bunch of people in there, you get out into a situation where you get pinched in between a bunch of broken ice that you can, power your way out of it. Airboats over the last few years have become very popular in our neck of the woods here, like on the Winnebago system, on the Green Bay system, again, because of the changing conditions. I never in a million years, if you would have said to me 10 years ago that you're going to own an airboat and have to have it as part of your arsenal for your guiding business, I would have said you're crazy. Because the thing about an airboat they are very expensive. There's a super amount of maintenance. I mean, maintenance on an airboat is probably one of the worst vehicles there is as far as the things that we wrench on. So the maintenance is big. They burn a lot of fuel. They're loud, and they are extremely dangerous. So, and I mean like dangerous, not as far as breaking through the ice. I'm talking about dangerous as far as handling them. An airboat, you definitely want to have somebody that's experienced in driving an airboat on ice. Does not take much to lose control of an airboat and get it sideways and you could flip it over. But it definitely is one of them things where you have to have it in your arsenal, again, because we've had so many mild winters where to be able to get out there and get to where the fish are at and do it safely, an airboat is definitely a key part of our arsenal. Number 5 is what I would go to is when we start getting ice that's at least 6 inches up, is definitely a UTV. I mean, I look at a UTV as like a small pickup truck. I've seen a few of them go down through the ice with people on them. They are literally, they go down before you have any time to react to them at all. Twice now I've seen that happen, and all of a sudden I watched the people driving them, and poof, they were gone. There was no hanging up, going down slow. They were on the bottom, and luckily both situations they swam out, and the people were okay once we got them out of the water. But definitely a good solid 6 inches of really good ice. I actually prefer just a little bit more for a UTV, but when you think about it nowadays, the UTVs that are out there and the ones that I have, you can get up to 6 people in them, 5 for sure, and most of them. So you're adding all that weight also in there. But again, it's one of them things that it's like driving a small truck. You got great heat in there, you got your music in there, you got navigation in there. They're definitely and they pull like crazy. We pull a lot of ice shanties with them. We pull our tote sleds with them, our people haulers. A UTV is definitely a very cool part of our guiding business for sure. The next I would go to would be a Sherpa. And again, I've never owned one, but I've been in quite a few of them. A Sherpa is no doubt one of them vehicles that, you don't really need any ice at all, but I would say to keep it an ice that from breaking through with it, you should definitely have at least, 7 inches on a Sherpa to take it. The problem with a Sherpa is that they're over $200,000. They are a very cool vehicle, but if you do break through, obviously, as you can see, you can just get yourself out. But again, you gotta, in the situations we're guiding on, we're fishing high volume bodies of water where there's a lot of people, and you definitely do not want to be breaking up ice, because you don't know who's coming out in the morning before you. And if you were out there the night before and you broke a bunch of ice up that was 3, 4, 5 inches, somebody else is coming out on their ATV, expecting that, they were just out there the day before and it was fine, and you busted up that ice and they fall through. That's definitely not what we're about at all. So, again, having the right tool for the right amount of ice in our business is definitely everything for sure. The next vehicle I'm going to show you, I haven't used in about 4 years. It's my track truck. Now, the track truck is one of them kind of things where I like to have at least a consistent 8 inches. And the track truck is one of them kind of things where when you get a ton of snow, and that's the only way you can get out on that lake and start pulling these shanties, because we run portables, but we also run a ton. Like I was telling you, we typically run about 17 permanent shacks. And if you got a lot of snow out there, that track truck is one of the only ways you can consistently pull these shacks around. It's very rare for us to sit in one spot
for more than a day. Typically, we're moving most of our shacks 2 to 3 to 4 times a day, and sometimes even more, because what we're fishing out there is expansive mud flats, and them fish are moving all the time. And the key is move, move, move.
Number 8 is probably one of my favorite ways, and it's definitely a Lake Winnebago thing, and it's called the tuber vehicle. And I've seen guys cut vans into tubers. I've seen them do cars, but for me, one of the ultimate tuber vehicles is definitely a Suburban. And what I mean by a tuber vehicle is when you basically cut holes in the vehicle and you fish right out of them. So what you do is you cut holes in them, you use a hole cover, and you go get out on the lake and you drill your holes, drive back over them, and you shove a sleeve down there, which is called a tube, and basically you're fishing right in there. There's a lot of guys that actually they drill right inside with all the electric augers now. They drill right inside of the vehicle, and they never even get out. It's definitely a fun way to fish, very, very productive. I'm sure there's other places in the country they do this, but definitely Lake Winnebago is the only place in my life that I've ever consistently seen people cut holes in their vehicles and use them to fish out of. And it's kind of funny, this is more of an east side thing, east side of Lake Winnebago. Over the years, I've seen several brand new pickup trucks that these guys would buy, and brand new Suburbans, and cut holes in them. So I always tell everybody, hey, if you're ever buying a pickup truck or a Suburban, make sure if you know that it was from the east side of Winnebago, that you look underneath the floor mats to make sure that there's not holes in there, because realistically, if there is holes in there, that vehicle's worth at least another $500 to $1,000, right? Obviously, because that's about what it costs if you take it into the shop to have holes cut into your vehicle. So, hey, and it makes it a lot cooler too, so.
Hey everybody, this week's tip of the week brought to you by our good friends up at Mike's Country Meats, the finest jerky on the planet. Hey, this week's tip, we talked about it quite a bit in this week's show, is no doubt all about maintaining all the different equipment you have. And one of the biggest tips I can give to you guys to keep your stuff running and keep it going for long term is definitely changing your fluids. Changing that oil, changing that transmission fluid. Them are such important parts of keeping your vehicles going, especially in the winter in these cold conditions. Hey, again, this week's tip of the week brought to you by our good friends up at Mike's Country Meats, the finest jerky on the planet. Hey, I want to show you guys one of my passions too is obviously hunting. This is my trophy room. It's amazing how the older you get, how things actually change. When I was younger, it was all about killing a deer and getting them mounted. And as you can see, this is just one of my rooms. I've got a lot of 140 inch deer in here. Them deer, obviously, nowadays, I've shot so many of them, I wouldn't shoot again. You kind of keep building your way up. But again, gear, always lots of gear everywhere. It takes a lot, again, because there's a lot of times where we'll run up to 30, 35 people. Vexilars all over the place, charging every night. They got to be charged up. So, yep, just again, you can never have enough gear. You always something, right? Yeah, it's kind of cool. You think about all these years. My muskie collection. I got to tell you guys about this. I know we're talking about ice vehicles, but ice guiding guiding in general has been my life for almost 35 years now. But here is one of my greatest mentors. This guy's name is Rody Britke. He's right there and there. I've learned more from this guy right here than any other human being in my whole life when it comes to fishing. That's a picture of my dad. This is his muskie collection I bought from him before he passed away. Very sentimental stuff like this. So just kind of, I want to show you guys a little bit about my life and who I am and what I do. This is one of them kind of things where I'm very passionate about. I mean, I love the outdoors. I love people, and the challenges of ice fishing are like no other. And that's probably the biggest thing, Last year we got shortchanged. We only had a very, very short window. We only ran a couple weeks, and that was tough on me, man. I'll tell you. I mean, just because it's not as much the financial stuff, which is very important, but it is more the time that, like, to be able to get that fix, right? And I hope you guys can kind of understand it and feel it really is like one of them kind of things where you need to get so much of something to be able to satisfy yourself. In ice fishing, I try to get every bit of time that I can out of that ice fishing. That's why we run so many different types of vehicles, and there's a reason for all of them. Hey everybody, it's hard to believe it's that time of year again. The Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison, the 21st through the 23rd. We're going to be up there doing some seminars. We're going to also be showing off all the beautiful Warrior boats and be in the Meg's Custom Rod booth. So you guys come check us out on the 21st to the 23rd at the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison.
It's almost like the days when you had a Harley and you were waving to the guy on a bike. You see another Warrior on the water, you just get a good feel.
First class, all the way from the people that ride them to the people that make them.
They do such a nice job with communication. They'll pick up the phone anytime. It's really almost a friendship.
You could be in any state, and when somebody with a Warrior drives by you, you get that honk, that beep. You're truly part of a family, and there's nothing like it.
Introducing Forever Barnwood. Transform your space with the warmth and character of a genuine barnwood look. Forever Barnwood offers over 200 authentic barnwood products. We are commercial and food safe. Our products are available in unlimited quantities while still providing the consistency you need to complete large projects. All of this while still looking like it came out of a 100-year-old barn. Forever Barnwood. Bring the history inside.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed our tour today of the farm here and all of our ice vehicles. It's just kind of cool when you're doing 52 new shows a year to kind of mix things up all the time. And again, we like to keep things fresh and interesting, and that's all about when you have a 52-week format, is to keep you guys and gals interested in the things that are going on with our show. Hey, and we appreciate everything for sure. Like we do each and every week, we always want to thank all of our military men and women for the great service they have given this country and continue to give this country, along with all of our firefighters and paramedics, and no doubt all of our law enforcement agents. Hey, it's brisk and cold out. Thank God for that. We are really into a incredible winter. Hopefully it's long. And you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. We'll see you guys and gals again next week.